Nail friends, in today's video I am doing Jenny's nails. Jenny is back and we are doing red. So she sent me a video a while ago of someone doing red nails with a border of silver. So we decided to do that, but Jenny came at 8 a.m. so I had to turn the heat up and it wasn't quite warm enough. Oh man, this was a frustrating set of nails. So the color I chose was patchy and not working, so I had to stop, take that off and remix a color that worked better. It was taking so long to dry and then everything was just like not working today. So I'm going to show you guys all these struggles and tell you guys like how I got through it. This set took me probably 20 to 30 minutes longer than it should have because of struggling. This is one of those videos where you can see that it was really hard and I take my time and I'm patient although I'm struggling, and the end result ends up being really nice. So just keep watching and enjoy the video. So here's what Jenny's nails looked like. She had a bit of lifting. So I'm going to have to show you guys how I accomplished removing that. So I had to file down her nails because they were getting a little long, so we just shortened about how much they grew. I don't really go into shaping, I just shorten, and then I will shape with my hand file later. So I'm taking an E-file and I am filing down thin, just the fake acrylic nail, not the natural nail at all. And I'm not trying to get out her lifting yet, I'm just filing thin and kind of doing a rough filing job. I'm not trying to get everything done at this step. I'm just filing thin as a start to the whole thing. So we're just filing thin and I'm switching between her fingers just so I don't burn her. So I'll go in between each finger and I make sure that it's not too hot. I'll ask my client, is this too hot? Is it warm? And all that. So I make sure that I'm not burning anyone and switching. So here I'm going one way because I don't want my carbide to go around her nail. So I'm just going down and I'm lifting my carbide up each time. So to remove the lifting, I've switched to the smaller carbide here, and you can see I'm filing where the line of the lifting is. I'm not touching. You can see I'm getting to her natural nail and then I'm stopping, and that one came right off. And then I'm going to go on this side. I'm just going poking right where the lifting is, where it meets the enhancement that's not lifting, and I'm just getting to her natural nail, and then it should just pop right off when you get there because it's lifted. So keep going until you get it to come right off. It should come off easy. Try not to just like pop these off by like scraping them off with your carbide. Doing that technique, filing them away, is better for the natural nail. So just try to file it away, break that, release that lifting, and then take it off. And then now we're pushing the skin back and using the back side of the cuticle tool to scrape the skin, just to expose that cuticle. It needs to come up because that's the kind of stuff that causes lifting. So Jenny went 5 weeks, so her nails are a complete rebalance. So I don't know if you are not a nail tech, you probably don't know this, but there's a reason that it's a lot harder when you go 5 weeks compared to 2 weeks and 3 weeks. When you're going 2 weeks, I could file your nails. They're still in like great shape, as in the shape is still correct. They're coming straight out from your sidewalls, and all I have to do is prep and basically reapply and reshape. But when you go 4 or 5 weeks, now your apex that we build in the back, which is for strength, has now grown into the center of the nail. So now your balance is off. The nail is now bulky in the center, and the nail starts bending downward at this point. So now there's a lot more work to do. So that is why it's preferred that you go 3 weeks and not 5. But I actually enjoy like a big job, and I like to show you guys what I'm doing. And I also don't mind my clients coming when they can, as long as their nails are still good and not glued on. So taking this bit and going around the cuticle area, I actually do reverse it and go around the other way, just to make sure that I've got all that cuticle skin up. And then I buff it away, and then I use my dehydrator and primer. And now I'm going to go in and do a clear base. I'm doing a super, super, super thin clear base on the back of the nail. And that is because I'm using red acrylic. So normally with Jenny, we do a gel design, but because she wanted red I don't know, I just was feeling unconfident and I don't want it to chip during the holiday season. And I thought red might last a little longer, and I just wanted to do red acrylic, and Jenny's chill, so she doesn't care. So I wanted to do this thin clear base just so that when she comes back next time, it might be easier to either remove it all or at least do a soak off. So here's where I was going into trouble. The base was fine, but then this color that I chose is like kind of hard to work with. It's watery, the color doesn't stay, it kind of marbles. I don't know. You know, lately I've been doing weird things where I don't trust my gut and I use things that, or do things that are like stupid. And then I'm like, what was I thinking? I know better. So I decided, no, Sarah, you're not going to spend like 3 hours trying to make this stupid color work. That's not going to work. No, I'm not going to do that to myself. And so, like, normally I'd be like, let's just try. And then I would, like, suck it up and go all the way, and it would take me forever, and I would hate it. So, you know what? I noticed this is a struggle, like, a really big struggle. Not only was it struggling to get it down to release off my brush and, like, go where I want it, but it, like, is patchy and just doesn't look good. So I'm like, maybe I can make this work, before I decided that I definitely could not make this work. But I was like, maybe I can make it work. Plus, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, my room is so cold. Even though I have my heat on and I'm trying to warm it up. So when your room is cold, your acrylic dries slower. And so when you're trying to get an acrylic like this to just go where you want it to go, and it's just moving around and it's not drying, you can see it's like about to drip. Like, what the heck? I was like, this is so frustrating. So I wiped that off. I'm like, okay, maybe I can make this work. Maybe I can make this work. I'm still wiping it, still not drying. I feel like maybe this is just not a good color and I should just throw this one away. I'm like, maybe if I flick that up, and then I wipe too much off the tip. So I'm like, okay, what do I do here? Still not dry, so I can work with it. So I'm wiping on my brush, making sure my brush is super dry. And I'm like trying to pat and pull, and then I'm like, okay, you know what? No, just no. So before this completely dries, I'm just going in with the carbide and filing it down and filing it off and moving on with that. Okay, so I still loved the tone of that color. I was just finding it extremely difficult to work with. So as I've mentioned in other videos, if you're finding something really, really hard to work with, sometimes you can just mix some shimmer color into it. So I took a similar kind of brownish color. I don't actually remember which one I used. There's a bunch here. And maybe it was poison apple or something. And I mixed it in with the color that I used here, which was called Very Berry. I made like my own little pot and added both the color and the shimmer, mixed it really well, and then I came out with a color that's actually more similar to the video she sent me. Now that I'm looking at it, it's more of like a brownish burgundy, and easier to work with that shimmer. So I made it work. So I pat that down, got my cuticle area, pat it into place, working a little bit easier to work with. Gonna add a little more. Still kind of frustrating because my room's cold. It's not gonna work as perfectly as I want. It's not gonna apply as smoothly as normal. So yeah, just patting that, dab, 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 pat, pat, pat. Okay, so let's show you guys that again. Picked up the bead, placed it down. I thought maybe if I work with a bigger bead, because before I did a thin coat and then made my thin coat of the color down, and then I did a thicker coat. So I thought, and then I was like, this isn't working. So I'm like, okay, maybe we could do something thicker and maybe I'll be able to move it around easier. But now I found, again, it's not drying as fast as normal. It's not like I'm applying more wetness than normal. It's just my room is just not drying. So now it's falling down the nail and I'm like, this is frustrating. Luckily the finger I have completely bent downward, so there's no product seeping like into her sidewalls or anything, but I am pulling her skin back just to make sure. And I'm just going to pull that color off, the extra product. So the whole big bead thing, I was like, hey, this isn't working either as well as I wanted. Like, as long as I get the color down, I mean, in the end, after encapsulating and everything, I'm sure I can make this work. Is where I'm at here. I'm like, I'm going to be able to make this work. It's better than it was. Okay, so I've got that down. I'm patting it. It just seems to be like, I don't know, just being weird. Just being weird. So I'm looking at that. I need some more because I can kind of see through in one spot. So I'm going to add some more at the tip and feather that up and try to make that more even. again, I'm going to try with the big bead. I'm thinking I tried it drier. I tried placing it and then moving the product into the center. You see me going back and forth, patting it into the center, pat into the center, pat into the center. And then I pushed up towards the cuticle area. I cleaned off my brush, wiped off my brush, and now I'm coming back in. But again, this product, I'm just finding it's just difficult. I'm just struggling. So I am trying to get a nice cuticle area first. That's really what matters the most. Just make sure you don't have a wonky, dry, messy cuticle. So get my cuticle bead, just wipe the product down. Doesn't matter if it's lumpy or messy. I am going to fill it in and try to make this work. Like I said, trust the process. Sometimes acrylic can be not pretty, like especially when you're doing something like a reverse smile line or something. So it looks kind of crazy and messy until you're finished. So I am adding more product because I need to get full coverage, because I do want this nail to just be a full, even kind of reddish brownish color, you know. So I need to get full, even coverage, and then we will encapsulate. Like I said, I was so frustrated. It was only my third nail here, and I was like, this is the worst. Hooray, 10 nails complete. Time to encapsulate. Ugh. So I'm going in, applying my clear again. Like I said, my room is so dry, so cold, still not warm. Product not working the way I wanted it to. Everything was so frustrating, you guys. Probably if you're a nail tech, you probably understand when you have those days where you're like, what the hell? Some days you'll apply the acrylic and you'll be like, I am a magician. I am the best nail tech that has ever lived. And then other days you're like, I suck. Why does anyone ever want to come to me? And what is happening? So anyways, I'm placing this down, trying to just cover my color. I just want to encapsulate this color so I don't file into it and like ruin the color, because I was already struggling enough, guys. I'm gonna make this set work is what I was thinking here. So I'm applying this down on the tip, pulling off some of the product, and then I'm going to go pick up a bead and place it at the cuticle area. Place that down, push up towards the cuticle area, have her finger bent down, wiping off my brush on a paper towel to make sure it's not too wet so nothing sticks to it. Pushing that into the cuticle area, I was like, yeah, maybe I'm getting my groove here. Yeah, so now I'm patting, I'm pulling, hoping I don't get any bubbles or air bubbles or anything that's going to make me mad. So there we are. Okay, so the next finger has a glitter at the cuticle area that annoyed me, but I knew the silver would cover it, so it is what it is. And then when I placed that bead down, it stuck to my brush and just like fell off. Oh, that was frustrating. So I wiped that off, and now I'm applying another bead at the cuticle area. I'm going to push that towards the cuticle area, get that into place, and then yeah. So yeah, that glitter in there, oh my god, I tried to get it out so many times. It just was not coming out. Luckily, it's exactly where the line of the silver is going to go, so we won't see it, but frick, that frustrated me. So now we're going to debulk everything. Everything has dried. I've done it all. I am now debulking. So I'm just taking my carbide bit, filing everything thin, and going around the sidewalls, keeping my apex in place. And yeah, that's what we're going to do here with the carbide. So it's just, I don't want to file into the color. I'm really just using this to help debulk so that I have less hand filing to do, because hand filing can actually really hurt your hands and wrists. So I just want to debulk a little. Don't take too much product off. Don't take color off. Yeah, just make it thinner at the tip and the cuticle area and keep my apex in place. So I have two files. I'm using a metal file board and a regular nail file. So I just like to take my metal file board and try to shape the nails a little bit before going over them. So I'm using 100 on one side and 150 on the other. And I'm just using this to shape. So the metal file boards are great to keep a really nice crisp shape. And then I like to use a more flexible board for really refining the nails. So here I am just shaping. Like I said, when you go too long with your nails, the nails start to bend downward. So I am going up and under a lot to try to pull that up. And now I'm going over. You guys can see me using my hand file. I think I'm actually just using a 150 here as well. Going around the cuticle area, blending my lines from my debulking, and I'm just going to file everything all over, trying to make it nice and even and make sure my shape is good, because it's not quite perfect yet. Gotta keep working on this shape. After I've shaped everything with a hand file, I actually like to go in with a buffing block. Not too hard, because you don't want to make the nails super smooth or anything. You just want to get rid of scratches. The scratches will show up in your top coat if they're too deep. So I just like to refine the scratches, make sure they're not too deep. Go around the cuticle area with this and the sidewalls, and to make sure there's no bits that are sticking up or anything. So you can see when I do that, I actually sometimes see a little bit flaking out. So that's what I did there. And now I'm just double checked all the shapes and going back over with my file, because I feel like red is definitely unforgiving with shaping. Any mistakes you make, you'll see with this red. Red and black acrylic are extremely hard to work with. So in the end, these ended up turning out good, I promise. Just give it a chance. So here I'm still shaping these, trying to make them nice and even. Then after that, we're going to go ahead and cleanse all the nail dust. I filed all the nails. I used a dust brush first to dust it, and then I'm using a little cleansing wipe, and I'm really trying to get in and get rid of any kind of dust. So red and black nails will show a lot of scratches. So I'm going in with a lint-free wipe and some acetone, and I'm just trying to swipe over the nail and get rid of any kind of line that you can see that's going to be white, deep lines. So here I'm using a liner, gel liner brush, and then I'm using the metal leaf gels from Bemi Beauty Box. They are so easy to draw with and so easy to work with, and so forgiving. So my first nail, I was kind of just like play around for a while. So I did take a lot longer on this pinky until I found like my groove, how much product to pick up on my little thing here. So here I'm just like picking up product amounts to see how much I need. I kept picking up such little amounts to see if that would work. It seemed to be too little. So normally when I'm hand painting like lines like this, I would be using very little product. But with the Bemi Beauty Box, you can grab a lot more and kind of pile it on there, and you'll get that nice glittery gel line. So I really, really, really love the Bemi Beauty Box metal leaf gels. I have a bunch of colors, so I just really like the silver one for this. That's what was in the photo, so that's what we're going to do. And any mistake you make, you can just wipe it off with a dry brush before you go in. It's, like I said, super forgiving, so highly recommend. I did have her cure her pinky, and then I did her other, you know what I mean? I go back and forth. I did her other hand. That way, nothing moves out of the way. So that's what I always do when I'm doing any kind of gel hand painting. I will do one finger at a time. I'll apply, have her cure it, and then apply the next finger, and so on. And go back and forth between the hands. That way, nothing will ever accidentally get bumped or get, cat hair stuck to it. That's the worst. Or, well, I don't have cats, but dog hair, you know what I mean? Anything stuck to it, fluff from your shirt. So I'm just going around. This one has like a ever so slightly off shape at the end. So I think I do go over that and file it when she is completely done everything. I can't file now because, like I said, dust will get on it, but I did file right at the very tip on this nail. at the end. So that's there, and then I'm just gonna go along and finish each one. And anytime you make a mistake, like I said, just grab a little brush, dry brush, and wipe it away. And here I'm going to cover that glitter that was haunting me. There you go. Goodbye, glitter. Go away forever. And do the same thing on all the nails. And then we will top coat everything. Okay, and then here is what everything looks like as it's been applied, and now we just need our top coat. So I was stressing about this set, and in the end, with the silver, just really adds everything together and just completed the set and made it all work and made it look nice. And now I'm just applying my no wipe top coat. So I've been using the Ugly Duckling no wipe top coat lately and the Ugly Duckling lamp, and yeah, it's been really shiny. So I'm just applying this. You can see I'm using my finger to hold myself in place so that I don't move or mess anything up. Applying that down, and then I'll get her to cure that. And then when everything is done, I will use cuticle oil and I will blend that all into her skin. File the tips to make sure they're nice and perfect because I wasn't 100% happy with that one finger. Cuticle oil, file, and then I have her wash and scrub her hands super well before we take our photos. So here I'm just using this cool buffing tool. It just kind of buffs that in and feels kind of nice and will help with photo taking. Okay, so here is that finished result. What do you guys think? I really like this set. I thought they turned out super pretty. Jenny's nails usually turn out really pretty. I struggled, like I said, a lot with this set, although the end result ended up being really nice. So sometimes you just have to be patient and push through. And yeah, I just pushed through and I was able to end up with a really pretty result. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, click the bell next to it, and give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!